Hello, Mr. Hausman. How may I help you?
Hey, good morning to you too. Listen, while I'm staying here, I could hope you could use an alias name.
Oh, I'm sorry. We weren't aware that you wanted to use a different name. If you give it to me, I'll instruct my entire staff to use it.
Well, I've been torn between thinking either Steve Jones or Poster Nutbag the Third. What do you think is better?
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. You know I'm excited and delighted to have you here each and every week as the No Vacancy continues to take over the world of hotel industry podcasting. We're having such a great run. Man, this has been quite a month, and we've got such great interviews for you. Check out novacancynews.com, and you can see all the past podcasts that we have. And if you're a first-time listener, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Stitcher, anywhere you prefer to get podcasts, or simply text the word hotel to 66866. We'll subscribe you to our weekly newsletter. And of course, this show is brought to you once again in part by Duetto, the revenue strategy technology platform that thousands of hotels are using to make more money. And be sure to check out getrevenueresults.com right now for an amazing video that you're going to love. It's called How Hotel Management Companies, How Hotel Management Teams Can Collaborate and Make More Money. It's really great because it follows a great story of a group of people that seem disconnected, not really focused on how to make more money for their hotel until, of course, they commit to a smart revenue optimization strategy, and it changes their world in ways that they never imagined. I also want to be sure you go to getrevenueresults.com, so do that. And thanks to Red Roof for becoming a premier sponsor of our show. You'll hear their ad at the break between our two segments. Also, man, Tech Show's doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for downloading that on this No Vacancy feed. And we've got the new Hotel Design Podcast, a 20-episode show sponsored by Porcelanosa that is out there somewhere in the world right now. And just check Hotel Design Podcast, and you'll be able to find that particular show. And I'm also super excited that this past week we finally have got the first batch of episodes up for checking in with Anthony and Glenn. Of course, that's with me and my co-host, Travel Channel personality, Anthony Melchiori. Twice each week, we're going to be talking about all the issues in hospitality and additionally how to empower your careers. We're checking in on all sorts of different topics: how to be more successful in business, how to be more successful in your career, how to be more successful in life. You're going to want to check that out. That's Checking In with Anthony Glenn, also available where podcasts are found. Wow, that was a whole lot. So today I want to talk a little bit about luxury. We don't talk enough about that. We've been focused a lot on extended stay and select service, but today I've got a Jones in to talk about luxury. So what better way to do that than with a really cool general manager? He's in charge of the Conrad Fort Lauderdale Beach, and his name is Chitin Dadich. Chitin, welcome aboard the show. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Glenn. Great to be with you.
Yeah, great to have you here today. How cool is that? So I guess the first question I have for you is how did you wind up getting into the hospitality industry? And then how do you wind up getting into the universe of luxury hoteling? Because that is such a very different specialty than what the majority of folks are involved in the hotel business.
So, Glenn, I'll start by my introduction to the hospitality industry. Mm-hmm. It was actually at a restaurant in San Francisco where my aunt used to own that restaurant. And I ended up, helping her during the summertime and absolutely fell in love with the food and beverage world. Next thing I know, I was going to school, studying in hotel management, worked in luxury hotels back home in India, and wanted to do a little bit more. So therefore, came to the United States and got my master's in hospitality here in Rhode Island, Johnson, Wales.
Oh, cool.
I've been very fortunate since then. Yeah, very fortunate since then to have worked with Hilton, worked in the Boston market, Palm Springs, Arizona, the beautiful Arizona Biltmore, the Conrad Miami, and then, of course, got to open this beautiful Conrad Fort Lauderdale here in October of last year. But my personal, journey into luxury started with my first job, where I was fortunate to work as a butler at the Le Méridien in Pune, India.
Mm-hmm. So what was that? What was that like when you first got that taste of luxury hoteling?
It felt right. I felt like this was my calling. I truly enjoyed my experiences with the affluent guests that I was taking care of. But I also felt like it was a sense of motivation for me to do better, for me to be able to drive myself to be better, and I kind of stuck with it. Luxury is always considered very complex, considered very tough environment to be in. But that's not how I felt. I always felt a little bit at home for some reason, and I felt like I could read my guests. I felt like I could, anticipate their needs, and that's why I think I've been successful at it so far.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think the hardest thing for being a luxury hotelier for me would be having to wear a suit every day. That just doesn't, pun intended, suit my personality at all. But I love how sophisticated everybody looks at these types of properties. So, what is it about providing for the luxury hotel guests that you specifically enjoy so much about helping them create memorable experiences?
I believe in creating experiences for our guests. So I think the one thing that is different in luxury versus other hotels is being able to not be transactional, and that is probably the most important part of running a luxury environment. Is you cannot be transactional at any point. It has to be where every touch point, every interaction with the guest is going to remember us and remember how we made them feel. It's as simple as that, but it literally goes down to that, one rule where when the guest walks away from you, how do you think the guest is going to feel? And that's it. And that's, it's as simple as that, but believe it or not, there are so many instances where we sometimes, as hospitality leaders, hospitality professionals, fail to create that environment.
So how do you make sure that you are able to create that environment? Because it's pretty tricky, especially at the luxury level, which is, of course, an industry leader in services, amenity, personalization, and all of these things. If you're not hitting it on all of these right marks, you've got an audience that's not going to be nearly as forgiving as somebody who may have spent $69 for a night's stay in a clean, comfortable room.
Absolutely, and I go back. When we started this hotel last year, I was fortunate to bring on the team one by one. I mean, we were about four of us when I first started here in May of last year, and today we have 266 wonderful team members that make this resort spectacular. I always go back to my 3 Ps, and that's our culture here. That's kind of how we operate, is people, purpose, process. And in order to keep that consistency, it's very, very important who the people are. If you've got a team that is not commensurate of the luxury environment, you're not going to be able to keep that culture alive. So the people that you hire have to believe in your vision.
Now,
purpose.
I asked this question a lot with hiring the right people with that vision and purpose idea, but it seems to me that it's a little bit different on the luxury level than it would be within other spheres of the hospitality industry. First, let me ask, am I right about that? And if so, how is it different? And if not, feel free to lambast me. Go for it.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the people portion is extremely important for the luxury segment. When I'm hiring somebody into a role here at this team, we're looking for that one spark, that one thing that sets them apart from the several resumes or interviews we go through, and that spark is nothing but a true sense of belonging, a true sense of someone who's willing to go above and beyond, has always got the big picture in mind. They're not, even in the interview process, they're not transactional. They're not looking to answer a question, but they're here to tell their story. They have something in their life that has happened that has either steered them towards luxury or has impacted the life around them, to think about luxury. And listen, at the end of the day, I did not have an upbringing where I was constantly, in a luxury environment. But I think it was sequence of events that led me to say, you know what, this is where I feel comfortable in. This is where I think I can thrive, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for like-minded people who feel the same way as the leadership does.
That's fascinating that you felt comfortable in the luxury segment, because I can only compare it to like what my experience is like, and always having to be that prepared every single day for me personally would be quite a challenge. What is it that appeals to you for every day? Putting on, making sure that you're always at your best, wearing those great clothes, making sure that you've got the most perfect manners that are out there, and being able to go above and beyond to help your customers.
I think the personal satisfaction of being able to perform at your best, it's very, very it's very gratifying. One of the team members here, and this is just an interaction where they kind of reminded me of when I was starting off in the industry, and she said to me one day, and she said, "Chintan, I don't come to work to be the best at work here. I come to work because it's practice for me to be at my best when I'm not at work." And
that's interesting.
That really impacted me. Yeah, because she said, because if I behave the way I behave here, when I'm here with you guys, I feel like I'm successful in my life outside, because I treat people like how I want to be treated. I'm always courteous. I'm very cognizant of my environment. I am always looking for opportunities to connect with people and make that eye contact and say hello. And it's true. I find myself walking around with my family. If I'm on the beach or I'm at the mall shopping, I feel comfortable looking people in their eye, saying hello, even when I don't know them. And sometimes 9 out of 10, it's great. One time the person looks at you and says, I don't know what's wrong with him. Why is he smiling? Why is he saying hello? But I think it trains you to be a better person overall. And I think it goes back to the second P is, do you have a purpose? Is that what your purpose is? Do you want to be, do you want to be successful? Do you want to be driven at all times? And all of this, of course, is supported with the third P, which is process. Every single day, you have to be maniacal. You have to, you have to be very, very committed to having that process down. We start every single day the same way with our morning, very high energy stand-up meeting where we get the leadership team on the same page. Our team members then get the same message from their leaders. So there's a process that goes along in order to get that team fired up every single day.
Huh. That's fascinating. So I'm curious, when it comes to that hiring process, sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit, but you're just sparking some thoughts in me. When it comes to that hiring process, do you find that perhaps there's some sort of self-selection ahead of it that eliminates a certain group of people even before they walk in the door for potential luxury job? Or do you see it as a similar employment pool as other stratas within the business?
I think the messaging of how you're trying to go and find like-minded people like yourself is important. I don't feel like there are some times where I've met people who will say, well, I thought about applying, but it looks intimidating to me,
right?
Or I was not I wasn't sure if I was going to fit in. And yes, there's a very small degree of people who do that, but I think majority of the people are aspiring to be in an environment that is, that is opulent, that is sexy, that has a little bit of cachet. So I think that goes actually in our favor. and then it gives us the opportunity to say, which skill set matters most to us. How do we curate this person's skill set in order to fit into our team? And that's where, I think we're lucky and we're able to choose the right person for the team.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense. So switching to the other side of the equation, what are guests looking for right now in a luxury experience? Because it feels to me, sure, after the Great Recession, we kind of switched from that materialistic society to more of an experiential society. And I see that played out every single day in the hospitality environment. So luxury doesn't mean to me materialism. It just means to me a little bit finer things in life, especially when it comes to guest expectations and service. So how do you see what customers are looking for in 2018?
I think, the way the customers travel today is the key to this, where a business traveler is also looking to have some amount of relaxation or fun during their business travel, or vice versa. When you're with your family, you're traveling with your significant other, you're out for specifically a vacation. I think today's traveler is also thinking about business during the same time.
Right.
In all of that said, I don't know if there is one, if there's one formula that is successful to creating a luxury environment. But I do know that one thing for sure is every single customer or every single guest who's walking in is looking for time. And if you can provide an opportunity where they can either disconnect with everything that they're running from, or they can have an opportunity to connect with each other, whoever they're traveling with, that is the key. So you're giving them an opportunity to, have a very luxurious environment, a setting where they feel comfortable, where it's easy for them to not think about the everyday, but more about a higher level of thinking. And then finally, I think the team members, they're the ones who create that experience. So like you said, you could have a very beautiful room, overlooking the ocean, all of those things, all the elements could fit. But if the service piece is missing, it is very difficult to recover from that. And service comes from people. Service does not come from, just giving people apps. I think the luxury traveler is still looking for that one-on-one interaction and being able to connect with people.
So I know I promised you we talked about the Fort Lauderdale market, which we will, but this I'm finding so super fascinating here. So how do you then balance incorporating the right amount of technology without losing that sense of customer service? I'd like to know how the luxury aspect of the market is approaching it, because I'm starting to see in the select service an over-reliance on technology that could very well replace that human element, which I think is so critical, as you're saying, to creating that wonderful hospitality experience.
Sure. So I don't think we'll ever be able to remove technology out of our mix. But I see it from a standpoint of how do you make technology work for you. I'll give you a simple example. The Conrad Concierge app is it's a very easy to use app. If you're a Hilton Honors member, it pops up on your app. It tells you all the things you can do from the app. But it is then taking all that information and communicating back to the guest. Make sure you're following up with the name recognition, making sure the attention to detail is there. So if I'm a customer who's just, prior to arrival has asked for 4 different things, if the ambassador who's taking care of me at check-in follows up on all those 4 things and goes above and beyond and say, and by the way, I've noticed you've stayed with us, 4 different times, and your preferred, view is the intracoastal view. I took the liberty of upgrading your room, or I took the liberty of placing your room in our intracoastal view, and please let me know how you feel about it, or let me know if that's not what you were looking for, and I can enhance your experience in any other way. That, I think, goes way beyond than any other convenience of using an app or technology. I think the follow-up and that personal connection with the guest, that's probably the most important part of that experience here.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. You're not going to go back to a hotel because you enjoyed the app. You're going to go back to the hotel because of the human interaction that you experience with the folks when you're at the property level.
Absolutely, and it starts from the first time when you drive up to that main porte cochere, and the team remembers your name or is able to connect with you the minute you step off your vehicle. Our food and beverage staff remembering what's your favorite drink to your favorite foods when you're at the pool deck. All these things add up, and we take a lot of time in training and retraining and developing our team in order to be able to have these tools and be able to utilize them to their best advantage.
Right.
Communication within the team is critical. From one department to the other, we have several ways to communicate with each other, but making sure that communication flows very well and all the details are passed on. That's very, very important to us.
That's fascinating. All right, so I'm curious as to what's going on now in that Fort Lauderdale market. You seem to have really, you opened up recently. It seems to be a new wave of luxury development that's happening in Fort Lauderdale. But Fort Lauderdale in itself, it seems to be really exploding. I mean, it's a little strange to see because, as a New Yorker, I'm familiar with Fort Lauderdale. It's a vacation spot for people. A lot of people retire down there. But I never looked at it as being a major center for luxury. Why do you think that's happening? And what's going on in your neighborhood that makes you believe that this luxury trend is here to stay in your market?
Absolutely. So, Fort Lauderdale today welcomes more than 13 million visitors.
Wow.
It has undergone a major evolution, starting with luxury hotels such as ours, the airlift coming into this area, the public transportation, which with the launch of Brightline is fantastic, I think. The fine dining on Las Olas Boulevard, or the wonderful hotels and restaurants here on the beach, as well as culture and entertainment. I think this is probably the first few steps of this evolving theme, and our resort, I believe, is right at the epicenter of this. In order to keep committed to our local here, we've curated communities or amenities, that are experiential, that takes care of our customer, not just in the resort, but also around the resort. We title them as 135 experiences, and these are basically experiences that you can go and experience for in a 1 hour time frame, 3 hour time frame, or 5 hour time frame. Some of my favorites over here are going to the Las Olas Boulevard. Mm-hmm. As a first-time visitor, I definitely recommend going to Anne's Florist. It's a unique coffee, flora, antique shop. It has so many hidden gems, that are throughout the shop. So just very unique experiences like that, or going to visiting the Shipwreck Park. It's an underwater park system with rotating art. The Fat Village Art Walk is a city's thriving art scene. So all these things have added to the Fort Lauderdale's things to do, and it's really becoming known in the market. People who do come here, we want to make sure that they not just visit the beach, but they also get a sense of what Fort Lauderdale is all about.
Yeah, and it seems like, you talk about 13 million people coming a year. A part of that has to do with this impressive airport expansion that you had, nearly a $500 million expansion modernization project. And you're getting all these new routes in now from other countries that have got to be helping propel the luxury hotel market. I think about flights coming in that directly from the Middle East, for example, as well as places like London.
Absolutely. So both domestic as well as international markets are now, accessible from our airport here in Fort Lauderdale. And if I may be completely wrong, but whatever traveling I have done in the recent 12 months to 14 months, not trying to be biased, but it is probably the most friendliest airport experience I've had in my life. The team members at that airport 100% get it. There are times where I'm speaking to people at the airport and I'm like, wow, this person would make a great fit at the resort. So I really love that part.
Ever pilch any employees from the airport for the Conrad?
Not yet. I think I would get in trouble, but I'm always looking.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. So tell me a little bit about where you see all this is going for Fort Lauderdale. What are your expectations for, and how does that fold back into what you hope to accomplish at the Conrad Fort Lauderdale Beach?
I think luxury tourism in Fort Lauderdale will continue to develop at an exponential rate. There's so many developments here in the market that are popping up, which is fantastic. But at the same time, I think the Fort Lauderdale or the Conrad will continue to be the epicenter in this new era of opulence and sophistication. My vision is that we'll see high-end tourism grow in Fort Lauderdale in the next 4 to 5 years exponentially. But we'll stay at the heart of this movement. We'll continue to drive, guest experience as our true north, and our commitment to our guests is making sure that we are delivering flawless, personalized, and authentic experiences for them. And I think that's where Fort Lauderdale will also continue to go. Changing its the image from back the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it sure is. I believe about a year and a half ago, I did a podcast with the woman who's in charge of the Fort Lauderdale Business Association, or the Convention Visitors Bureau. I'm totally forgetting. I probably should have looked that up before we had this conversation. But anyone listening, go check back and type in Fort Lauderdale into the search bar on novacancynews.com, and you'll definitely find that show. Chintan, before we wrap up today, any advice that you would give folks that are looking to do something like you're doing in the future? How do you become a general manager in the luxury hotel market?
I would, I think my only advice to hoteliers that are looking to get into the luxury market or are in the luxury market and looking to grow and become bigger and better is you have to stay true to the guest experience. Everything else has to be the center of your motivation every single day. And you can come up with the best product, the most opulent surroundings, but at the end of the day, it's your team members. So really taking care of your team members and creating the same experience for your team members when they walk in the doors is critical, because the guest experience is determined by them 100%. And that's why it's very, very important that as you grow into your career, that you surround yourself with great talent. And the only way to do that is if you're a great leader who can inspire people to become better, become bigger. Those are simple advice, but it works every single time.
Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. So before we wrap up with you, how about a good shameless plug? Tell us how to find you. Tell us how to find the Conrad Fort Lauderdale Beach, all that kind of good stuff.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say it again.
Yeah, shameless plug time. Tell us how to find Conrad Fort Lauderdale Beach and anything else that's self-serving for you.
I think for all the, for people that are going to visit Fort Lauderdale in the future, please, I urge you to come stay with us, experience best hospitality there is to be offered, from our 290 all-suite resort to the 20,000 square foot beautiful sky deck. We probably have one of the most wonderful food and beverage experiences, as well as authentic experiences for our guests here in Fort Lauderdale. I look forward to having many of you come stay with us and experience that with us.
Excellent. I love it, and I want to thank you so much for being here today. It's great hearing from a wonderful professional such as Chintan Dadic about what it's like running a great property like that and being in such an exciting resurgent market. Now we're going to go to commercial break. Before we do that, I'm getting downloads from all over the world, so I want to thank the one person who downloaded one episode from Iraq. I thought that's pretty cool. Each and every week, I think I'm going to start to throw out another country where people are downloading shows from. I'll give you a bonus one today. We also got one download in Ghana, so I don't know what's going on in Iraq and Ghana, but that's exciting. I'm just happy to begin downloads across the world. So stick around with me, because at the right after the commercial break from Red Roof, we've got another incredible interview. And for all of you that were thrown a serious curveball last weekend, I'm sorry to hear that you had all those troubles. I know I stayed here in my backyard, and I was a little disappointed too. But to not be able to go away for a whole weekend of fun must have been terrible. So thanks all for listening, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. Now listen, for me, one of the highlights of this past year's AHOA conference was learning all about the exciting stuff going on with Red Roof. For example, after comprehensive research into what travelers truly desire, Red Roof has created the Red Collection, a new group of mid-scale, unique hotels that are hyper-local and inspired by that city's vibe and culture. They all offer modern, accessible, and affordable accommodations, all within the proximity to the activities and sites travelers want to visit most. Like the St. Clair in Chicago, which is within walking distance of stores, restaurants, and museums all along the incredible, magnificent mile. Each property offers modern, accessible, affordable accommodations and the amenities guests ask for in their consumer research. Also included a loyalty program that just happens to be the richest in class and least expensive for franchisees, just 4%. And every property in the Red Collection has its own distinctive name, customized property enhancement plan, and brand standards based on consumers' wants rather than design mandates. And to top it off, the Red Collection gives franchisees opportunity to affordably invest in a sound brand with a solid track record. That's Red Roof's stellar management team. Finally, you'll be working with a company with franchise satisfaction rate of 94%. Wow! All those franchisees are going to tell you this, right? It's about genuine relationships, real results. That's just not some slogan. It's just how Red Roof operates. Learn more about the Red Collection. Just contact Phil Hugh. He's Red Roof's Chief Development Officer. Mail him at philhugh@redroof.com. That's Phil, P-H-I-L, Hugh, H-U-G-H. Phil Hugh at redroof.com, or just give him a call at 713-576-7417. Thanks for listening, and now back to the show.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast. I'm so excited to have today. Wow, I'm really stoked because I have Phil Hugh. He's the Chief Development Officer at Red Roof. And I'm excited to have him here today because Red Roof recently announced in the last couple of weeks that they are jumping into the extended stay market with its new sub-brand, HomeTowne Studios by Red Roof. And if any of you have been following the show for a while, you know I love the extended stay category. And I've said this statistic before. According to Lodging Econometrics, 27% of properties in the development pipeline are extended stay properties. So everybody's getting all into this market, and I'm not shocked that Red Roof has finally made their foray here. So let's talk a little bit about it with Phil. Phil, great to see you today.
Hey, Glenn, thanks for having me. I'm pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on, too. So I think I may have just spoiled your answer, but what are you thinking? Why are you getting into the extended stay market here with, an economy brand focused on long stays called HomeTowne Studios?
Well, you stole my thunder with the Lodging Econometrics stats.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. As I was saying it, I'm like, oh, dang it. This is not a good way to start the show because now he's not going to have a cool stat to start with.
Well, as you know, we at Red Roof like to do a lot of research. We take our time. We don't enter into anything without a lot of due diligence, and it was perfect timing for us. We've really had significant growth with the Red Roof product, our core brand, and Red Roof Plus, and it was time for us now to enter into the extended stay market. We obviously looked at all the research that is out there, and it just fit perfectly for us to take our leading partner in the economy space and move right into the extended stay space.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about how you at Red Roof see the overall extended stay space.
Well, as you probably know, 60% of the extended stay is local occupancy, local residents that don't want to have these hefty deposits or security bills, expensive monthly rent, gas, water bills, cable, et cetera. So the extended stay product certainly makes a lot of sense. And, obviously people are changing jobs a lot more frequently than they have in the past. So this product is perfect. So when people are relocating to new areas, as well as we see a lot of consumers coming from the healthcare side of business.
Oh, that's interesting. So then what are your goals for places on where that you feel it's going to be? I think according to what I read, you're already looking at bursting out with over 4,000 rooms at 30 different properties in 20 different markets, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. There was a portfolio back in 2015 that was purchased by Westmont and an institutional investor, and they ran the product for several years. And we were in conversations with them, saying, "Look, we think we can add value. We think we can drive rate and occupancy." So we took about 30 of the 50 properties. We spent over $50 million in renovating them, and we'll be and have started rolling out the product last week. I believe we currently have 14 up and running, and we'll continue to bring these products on over the next several months.
Wow, 14 out of the gate. So what is that like? What is the process like trying to get all these properties ready to launch at the same exact time? That's got to be a little bit more complex than, putting out one every few weeks or one a month or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think in 2 weeks we'll be rolling out, 6 or 7 in the same week. So, being, a single branded, one focused kind of company with, different segments that we serve, it certainly was going to task the organization, but we took our time like we always do. We made sure that the renovations were on schedule and on time. And that once the renovations completed, we roll them out. So we've got our training staff there. We've brought in dedicated resources just to service Red Roof or HomeTowne Studios. And it's not an easy task, but so far it's going extremely well.
So I'm sure you've put out feelers for the wider hotel development community. Any feedback that you're getting right now?
The feedback has been phenomenal. Our franchise sales team is obviously excited to have another brand to sell, so they're very happy. And I can tell already this morning we've had a multitude of calls from the sales team asking questions and just really seeing a lot of interest. They're from different groups even. We have apartment owners calling us saying, "Hey, we want to get into this space. We've watched Red Roof's growth over the last 5 years and how great that has been." We've got existing owners that are calling us, and obviously we're reaching out to our loyal franchisees that love the brand and now see us in this space and are looking to maybe convert at hotels they currently have, or possibly if they have 2 or 3 buildings, 100 and some rooms, they may want to take one of their buildings and convert that over to HomeTowne.
Oh, that's interesting. So what you're talking about is actually taking some apartments that are already existing and then turning them into an extended stay product.
Yeah, exactly. So, some of the Red Roofs will have, 2 buildings side by side, and the back building, needs to be renovated to meet all the brand standards of HomeTowne. But it makes a lot of sense since this product runs such a high occupancy. The design and construction team here at Red Roof has been working to create a prototype for the conversion of these hotels. So say they weren't extended stays or apartments today. So we've got a plan to convert rooms over to these studios, as well as we'll be working with our franchisees to develop a new construction prototype as well. So lots of activity. This is all on top of what we're doing with the Red Roof brand. So that, we're really busy and we're having a lot of fun. And, I'm lucky to work with such a team. We all love what we do. We do it with passion.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun place to be.
That's one of the, yeah, Phil, I got to tell you, you guys do have passion. I happened to made it out to a local AHOA meeting here on Long Island out in the town of Riverhead a couple of weeks back. And I saw some of your development guys, and the enthusiasm that they were putting out there was just absolutely, electric. It really was, it really caught me because I was kind of a little bit slow that day when I got there, but they gave me a lot of positive energy, and it made a big difference in my event. That's for sure.
So this is my 29th year in the hospitality franchising space, and I've worked for a lot of companies, and I've never seen a culture like this. It is people don't leave. A lot of my operations team are here for over 30 years.
Wow.
They bleed red, and they are just really, really passionate. And it's hard to imagine this when you're not on the inside. But bringing somebody in, we really have to have lengthy conversations with them when they join the team, because we're growing, to say, look, this is different than where you've been. We care about each other. We love our franchisees. And it's a place where we really enjoy the business. So people that aren't as passionate, we don't like being here if they're not really passionate about what they do.
I warned you before we start that I just like free flowing conversation here. So you've brought up an interesting topic about corporate culture and your ability to maintain that corporate culture by finding the right types of personalities to be part of the organization. So it's nice to see that you spend a lot of time trying to get to know somebody to understand if they're going to fit in and whether or not they would like to fit into that particular type of culture. So what is that process like when you're thinking of bringing on somebody on board to the Red Roof family?
Well, interestingly enough, being around the business for so long, we've got a lot of friends out there and a lot of people that have seen what we're doing, and they're reaching out saying, hey, can I join your team? So when we have an opening, we've kind of got a backlog of salespeople and operational people that reach out to us. So when we do have an opening, we've got a pipeline, which is great. But we then bring them into our new offices. I don't know if we talked about this, but we have brand new corporate headquarters in New Albany, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Absolutely gorgeous. So we bring them into New Albany, and we do a day in the life. And they spend a day with us in the corporate offices, meeting with everyone, seeing how we go to work every day and do our business. If they're going to be out in the field, we ask that they maybe travel with a salesperson or travel with one of our operations people to really get a feel for the role, because we like to answer our phones. We like to talk to our franchisees, and, we're really passionate about it. So when my phone rings, it's an exciting time because you're talking to someone, at least at Red Roof, that's calling you for an opportunity or calling you with a great idea. It is rare, Glenn. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've worked for several companies that I pick up the phone and I have an unhappy franchisee. They're usually calling me saying, thank you, or they're saying, hey, we've got this idea. Hey, how can we tweak this? It's really free flowing. So you got to make sure that you bring in people that really understand that our franchisees love this brand and they want to protect it and they want to work with you. So when that phone rings, we're anxious to talk to them, because they're not calling because they're upset.
So how do you then find the right franchisees that are not going to be upset? Now, I love you guys out there in the franchise community, but some of you are very determined with your specific point of views, and that doesn't always align with the brand point of view that's out there. So there's that natural friction, I think, that happens. So how do you wind up avoiding that with your franchise community?
Glenn, I'll tell you, when I got here, we didn't have a lot of multi-unit franchisees.
Right.
We've now are pushing towards 600 properties with the Red Roof Plus brand. We should hit there sometime in 2019. We'll hit 50,000 rooms this month.
Wow.
So that's an exciting time for us. And so we've got multi-unit franchisees that understand. So Glenn, we're going to have to do this again because why don't you repeat the question?
All right. Okay. I will repeat the question, and I'm going to clap and then repeat the question in 3, 2, 1. So, Phil, I got to tell you, one of the things that I see is not an animosity between franchisors and franchisees a lot of time, but passionate owners that really care about their product. And sometimes what their goals and brand goals don't align. There seems to be a baseline of friction there that I think is in a lot of relationships that we have out there. I mean, heck, I'm married. I know what friction can be like in a relationship. But what about why, Phil, do you feel that you've been successfully able to avoid what is a typical day in the life of some of these other companies?
Well, I tell you, Glenn, it's a great place to be when your franchisees are happy. When I got here 5 years ago now, holy cow, the time flies. It'll be 5 years this November. We didn't have a lot of multi-unit owners. Now we do. So they understand that we're going to require a renovation. They understand that we're going to hold them to our brand standards. And they also get it that if they don't, we're going to have some difficult conversations, and they're not going to be happy here. So they kind of weed themselves out at the beginning. Secondly, we do a lot of due diligence on our applicants. We spend time with them. We visit their existing hotels. We make sure that they have the appropriate renovation money set aside or financed to do the PIP, because we know that quality means more revenue. It means better TripAdvisor scores, and ultimately more money in their pocket. And who doesn't like more money, Brian?
I knew one guy, but he was a freak anyway. So I definitely like more money. And if anyone out there wants to donate to our Patreon page, just go to Patreon/NoVacancy. So I could get some more of that yummy, tasty money that's out there. So Phil, more importantly, I love watching the development of the company over the last number of years. Now you don't just have the Red Roof brand, you don't just have Red Roof Plus. You recently introduced the Red Collection, and of course the aforementioned HomeTowne Studios. So what does this mean for the overall strategy of the company, that you're adding more brands and giving more opportunities to develop properties within the Red Roof family of products?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's very exciting because like when we launched Red Roof Plus, we took a lot of time and energy, researched it, realized that sort of this, to lead in the upper economy space, we needed a product that was extremely consistent. And all the work that was done has allowed, Plus to be extremely successful. In that, we then found that Red Collection was a space in these center city markets, close to everywhere you want to be, but maybe you couldn't get the rate that you needed with the Red Roof product. So we launched the soft brand Red Collection. Now I'll say to you, this gives the opportunity for our owners to be a little bit more free flowing, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah. That they have their own ideas, they're entrepreneurs, they want to be creative. So this product allows them to do that. And what you're going to see in the St. Clair in downtown Chicago is really great. I saw pictures yesterday, and what they are doing in the State House in downtown Springfield, Illinois, the state capital, is really great, but they don't look alike. They're different feels. So this allows us to have a product that we can go into center cities, be very successful with. We've got a lot of conversations on Red Collection happening throughout the country, in Manhattan to LA, Dallas and Houston, just lots of conversations happening with that. And I think with the huge amount of energy that we'll have when St. Clair opens this fall, as well as the State House, you'll see a lot more of those of properties converting. And the reason we're here today is HomeTowne Studios, and I think we talked extensively about that. But just a great product, clean, fresh, with all the power and support that Red Roof brings to a hotel.
Yeah, so I got to talk a little bit more about this Red Collection thing. How does it pencil out to have a good quality economy type of a property that's within a city center? Because conventional wisdom tells you, no, you've got to go more higher up in the the market categories that we have out there. So how does that all work and be successful for the owners and for you folks?
Well, so Red Collection will be positioned in the mid-market, upper mid-market.
Okay.
It's out of the economy.
Well, there you go.
Plus, pretty simple. But Plus really dominates the upscale economy. So Red Roof is running over a $40 RevPAR as a brand. You go to Plus, you're up at $57, $58 for Plus. So you're really moving into that almost mid-scale, top of the economy chain. And we felt that the exact reason what you just said, but there are hotels that need a brand, that need support. Our customers want to go to center cities, and we don't have a lot of product in downtowns. So this allows that owner to come in to get everything Red Roof offers without, having to do be as specific as we are with the renovations on a Red Roof Plus or Red Roof.
Right. Are you finding that over time? I'm personally finding, and I won't speak for you, I'll let you answer, but I'm finding as the decades kind of roll on by, owners are becoming more sophisticated in what they do. And a lot of times it leads to what you were saying. They want to be more creative. They want to express themselves and their personalities more through the products they've created. How do you think that, obviously you've brought in that brand to meet that market, but how do you think that changes the overall way that companies such as yourselves approaches the changing ways of that development community? There's a whole lot there, but let's see where you want to go with that one.
Well, yeah, with I'm on my third or fourth generation now of owners. Right. And every time they're getting more sophisticated, they're coming out of Harvard and Yale and Cornell. And I'm embarrassed sometimes because they're talking way above me. But I think in the space, you have to be consistent. And if we're going to be in the economy space, the consumer likes to know when they walk in that one red roof feels like the next red roof, feels like the next red roof. So while the creativity of the owner is demanding, I think that works probably better in the luxury space or in a soft brand.
Right.
When it comes to our core product, consistency is what's going to keep that consumer coming back. And that's why, I'm inspecting properties myself. When I walk in and I don't see that rock wall, I don't see the standard lobby. I go into a room and we have the vinyl flooring. We've got, great flat screen TVs. When I don't see that, I just look at the owner and go, the consumer's not going to come back because they're walking into a red roof because we're the most consistent brand in the space.
Right. Yeah.
And they keep coming back.
Yeah.
They're loyal.
Loyal. Which is why you have more and more multi-property owners at this point.
Yeah. Save the creativity for the luxury product, the boutiques, the soft brands. But if you're going to play in the economy space, be consistent.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. So what you're saying is that the psychographic of the person that wants to stay in economy product is somewhat different than somebody that might want to stay at a upscale or a luxury type of property, where economy, it's all about, hey, I want to have confidence in everything being the same. It's that same kind of attitude, but flipped when you get to other segments in the market, right?
That's my feeling. I walk into these products. Mm-hmm. I walk into our competition, and I see what's out there, and I feel comfortable at night, and I sleep well at night, knowing our consumers. When they go to our hotels, they're getting a clean, comfortable stay. It's a consistent product. Hey, all brands have its challenges. We have ours, but we're working with those owners to make sure that they understand that they got to get up to standard, drive quality, give the guests a great experience so that they come back. And if they don't, then, sometimes we have to shake hands and part ways.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we want. That's the last thing we want to do. But we have been very fortunate over the last 45 years that keep Red Roof clean, and it's a well-respected name out there.
Right.
And now we're taking as I'll say it, we're taking baby steps. I mean, Red Roof Plus, Red Collection, and HomeTowne Studios just all make sense together. We're not taking another brand and saying, let's dump another economy product to compete with Red Roof and call it something else. That's just not our strategy.
No.
And who knows where we end up with product moving forward, but we got a lot to do with what we have right now, and it's going to keep us very busy.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's one of the things that I've always liked about your company. You've got more of the if you take a look at the allegory of the tortoise and the hare, you guys are more like the tortoise, slow and steady and precise, and just really focused on achieving your goals. And it seems to me that you're without the pressure of having to achieve X amount of properties by next week, for example.
Well, my board of directors will probably say differently. They certainly want growth. I get questions all the time of how many we're closing this month, how many are we opening. So we're a numbers-driven organization. But no, I don't have the stock pressure to open a certain number of hotels or sell a number of franchises because we have to meet some goal that was set. We're really it's a good analysis. We take our time. We want to do the right deal in the right place. Matt Hostetler, our head of sales, he doesn't even bring me something that doesn't make sense. If it's coming to our approval committee, they're usually approved because the work has been done to make sure that we've got the right applicant in the right location, and we're not looking at some product that just doesn't make sense or doesn't fit. Like I said, the renovation is key, and if the owners aren't committed to quality and bringing in a great product, then they won't be happy here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting you say all of this because I see a lot of times we're all very closely connected in our business. We're one big family, and I know a lot of development people at all the different major hotel brands. And come December, a lot of those higher level people, for example, are really sweating it out, hoping that they're going to make their annual goal for the year and hoping somebody doesn't sign on January 2nd, but signs it on December 31st so they can make those numbers. So it's a very different way of looking at the business.
It is totally different, which is why I think we're so happy here. I've worked for those companies, and I've been sitting there at 8 o'clock on New Year's Eve, 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve, trying to get something signed or get the paperwork in so we can meet the number for the year.
Man.
It's not like that around here. We obviously want to close everything we can as well.
Yeah.
Because there's competition out there, and we want to continue to grow and be profitable. But it's just different than the way other companies operate. And
I agree.
My stress level's down a little bit.
Right.
From 10 years ago.
Absolutely, Phil, because I was going to say it really plays back into that whole notion of creating that right corporate culture. And what you folks seem to do is very determined, very precise, but doesn't have that extra level of to it, but for sure.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, the meetings are strategic. They're fun. I mean, I was in our headquarters the last 2 weeks. Obviously, I travel a lot. I see you a lot on the road. But it's just, it was a really great week up there. And it's just a fun place to be because we're talking about the business, but no one's sitting there stressed out like, we don't get this done today, the world's going to end.
Right.
We get it done and we do what's right. I don't have to open a hotel before it's ready. No one ever said we have to meet an openings number because we forecasted this out. Here, when the hotel's ready, we open it. And luckily our franchisees work with us, commit to a date, and the majority of the time it's right on track.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to learn more about what we've been talking about here today, get from a little different point of view, I've got a great interview with Red Roof's president, Andy Alexander, that I ran on May 11th show. So go check out our back catalog and check out Presidential Profile, Red Roof's Andy Alexander show to really learn more about all of this stuff. But Phil, before we wrap up, I'm curious a little bit about you as an individual, as a human being. How the heck do you wind up getting into hotel development?
You know what? I don't even know how I got into the hotel business, Glenn. I was looking, I think I was a bouncer, a bill collector, and I was working the night audit at a hotel. The owner strolled in and said, "Hey, I hear you're looking for a career. Why don't you come be in my management trainee program?" And the next thing you know, I'm in love with the hotel business. I was fortunate enough to go to a great hotel in Hilton Head it's called the Crystal Springs Resort.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with Crown Plaza Holiday Inn. And a lot of great people worked there. Our old buddy Eric Jacobs from Marriott worked there.
Yeah.
I can run through a lot of the people there that work there are in high levels throughout the country are still in the hotel business. But Eric and I have stayed very close over the years. And when Holiday Inn Express was launched, about the time that Mike Levin had been launching Microtel, a lot of the franchising guys left. So I got a phone call saying, "Hey, you've been pretty good selling hotel rooms. Do you want to sell franchises?" And I was like, what sell a franchise? What do I know about that? And luckily I said yes. And it's been just a phenomenal, way to spend my time in the hotel business. And it's just been a great career.
What's the most important thing that you've learned in your tenure as a development executive?
Patience.
Mm-hmm.
I think patience is probably the most important. You've got a lot of competition out there. You've got a lot of sales guys that are working hard to get the job done. And every time that we rush through the process by trying to sign a franchise too soon, trying to open a hotel too soon, there's a mistake. So it's always taking a deep breath, sitting back and say, wait, is this the right thing to do?
Right.
Same way when we launched the same thing we did when we launched HomeTowne Studios and Red Collection. We really took our time to make sure it was right. Every time I've seen in my career that we rushed through it, there was a mistake. So try to be a little bit more patient.
Right. Great. Any final thoughts before I give you a chance to plug the heck out of Red Roof?
Well, no, I think we did a good job doing that, and thank you so much for your time, Glenn. It's always enjoyable to catch up with you.
All right. Now, how can people find you? How could people join the Red Roof family if they're interested, especially your newest brand, HomeTowne Studios?
Pretty easy, Glenn. It's Phil Hugh at redroof.com. I answer all my emails, hopefully very quickly. And if you go on the website, redrooffranchising.com, you also have my email and my cell numbers on there, so you can reach me at any time.
Beautiful. That's perfect. I love it. I want to thank Phil for being here today. Great conversation. I love having a chance to talk to all these people deep behind the scenes to get to know what they're really thinking. So drop me a line, Glenn at Rouse, ROUSE.media, if you want to learn more. Find me on Facebook at our No Vacancy News page. And, of course, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Traveling Glenn is how you find me there. And I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next week. That is, unless I decide to move myself into a HomeTowne Studios and never come back. Thanks. See you all next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.